Everyone's got an opinion on the Switch 2, including us. But how did we all get here? I'm Bina, and what is going on with the newly released Switch 2? The Switch 1 was a response to a failed console launch. The first Switch financially buoyed Nintendo up after the poor performance of the Wii U's debut sank its ship a little. The release of the Switch definitely came in like a storm that Nintendo could reap the benefits from. But as of 2025, hardware sales of the Switch have been going down, Nintendo's profits coming in from digital and software purchases. The Switch 2's release is coming after a console that sold really well, and is definitely not a product made to try to salvage the remains of a failed product launch. What can it offer that would set itself apart from the Switch 1? We can start with what people were saying before its release. When the Switch 2 was announced, there was a lot of optimism regarding the hardware. Bigger Joy-Cons with magnetic dockets, DLSS and ray tracing, with a custom NVIDIA processor at the heart of it, 1080p, 120 frames per second in handheld mode, or up to 4K at 60 frames per second while docked with faster loading times. The Switch 2 is also multiplayer friendly, complete with a built-in mic and video chat for online play. Some people are saying that the additional camera features remind them of the PlayStation's iToy. And I think most importantly, Switch 1 games are compatible with the new console. So there shouldn't be any worry if you want to play any of the older games as they are. If users want to fully utilize the brand new specs of the Switch 2, you can choose to upgrade the games through the console, albeit through purchasing said upgrades. While there is a lot the Switch 2 can boast about with its quality of life improvements to the console, these upgrades always come with a price in mind. Which brings us to some of the complaints people have with the Switch 2. One big con about the Switch 2 is definitely the price. You can see all the hubbub even on the Switch 2 overview trailer comments. The Switch 2 retails $449.99 in the US Nintendo Store. In contrast, the Switch 1 was $299.99 when it launched on March 3, 2017. Of course, you have to consider the state of the economy now. But either way, seeing these different prices together makes a striking image. Some may say that the higher price point has thrown in the idea that the manufacturing of the product may have been more expensive than Nintendo realized. So getting it to sell well would definitely be a main priority. In Japan, there is a Japanese language locked version of the Switch 2 selling at a considerably lower price. And they're also making acquiring stocks for the console retail friendly, selling wholesale prices for it and allowing retailers to earn a gross margin of 5% per sale, which is atypical of the usual 2% rate. But despite these deals being made to further the console's reach, people cannot get over the fact that there is software that could have just been a complementary part of the basic Switch 2 that is locked behind a paywall. Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tours, an interactive exhibit of sorts that offers an inside look at the features and tech that power your gaming experiences. Look, touch, and feel your way through the different exhibits. Well, you're gonna have to look, touch, and feel your way around your wallet to see if you have an extra $10 for this demo. Imagine being welcomed to your new home where you can chill and play your favorite games in your downtime, only for your house to tell you you need to pay $10 to look around. While yes, the Switch 2 is built to play games, but that doesn't mean sacrificing quality of life accessories that help enrich the console, gameless and all. Another worry for gamers is that expenses won't just stop at buying things to use the console better. Another worry are the games themselves. Nintendo announced earlier this year that the price of games like Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza would be selling for $80 and $70 respectively. Focusing on just simply Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Nintendo's latest main Mario Kart game, is priced on the Nintendo Store at $59.99. We don't know if this is just the price for these two games alone, but if it isn't, then that means buying games for the Switch 2 will also become its own hefty commitment. That's not even mentioning that Mario Kart is the only new exclusive you have at launch, with Donkey Kong releasing a whole month later. There's also the opinion that the hardware changes aren't big enough to warrant the price. Most notably the lack of an SSD and Nintendo still using stick technology that's prone to drift. I mean, I get that PlayStation and Xbox aren't using Hall effect for their controllers yet either, but come on. This would have been a good opportunity to one-up the competition. Also, everyone else, especially handheld PCs, are using SSDs now. Sure, their storage is faster now, but again, it could be better. Update. This just came in as soon as we started recording, but Joy-Con joysticks are apparently already drifting. See what I mean, Nintendo? It's not good press. Well, at least they're offering to replace them, so that's good. Given the current trends, we can also look at how another big console drop performed years ago, the PlayStation 5. The pandemic kept more people playing video games at home, which would have been a prime opportunity for the PS5 to fly off the shelves. But unfortunately, due to the semiconductor chip shortage, which was important in manufacturing the PS5, supplies could not meet a looming and accumulating demand. Because of the shortage, scalpers really had a field day, with some units being sold as high as $1,400 when the retail price sat at $499.99. According to an article by VG Charts, the PS4 sold over 117.19 million units, and the PS5 has sold over 49.49 million units as of January 9, 2025. That's not even halfway through the PS4's performance. The PS4 performed pretty well in its official run, being one of the top-selling consoles for Sony as of present, but not yet able to top the sales that the PS2 dominated with. So the PS5, you could say, was filling in big shoes. And the numbers, even considering the relative factors surrounding its launch, tells us the results. Not saying that the Switch will completely go down this path, but what we know is that officially, Switch 1 sales are starting to decline. And to be honest, I think the biggest takeaway from this is that when console prices go up, it means fewer consumers are interested in buying the console. And let's be honest, in this economy, it's not the easiest to drop $80 to $90 for a new game, let alone a few $100 for a new console. But of course, you didn't think we wouldn't have an opinion to share with you? After also getting our hands on it, here are our thoughts about the Switch 2. Bigger and better visuals. The Switch 2's handheld and dock displays completely dwarfs the first Switch 1080p and 60 FPS. So the Switch 2 made good promise on its graphics. The Joy-Cons are reversible, so you don't have to worry about anyone accidentally putting them back on the main console the wrong way and damaging your hardware. Plus, you can finally charge on either side now. To go further on the Joy-Cons, its mouse mode does offer better accuracy in input during gaming, so you don't need to rely on the Joy-Cons themselves as well. Voice chat is pretty cool, but of course it's not for everyone. In a sea of multiplayer gamers is an ocean of single-player gamers who simply enjoy taking in their games themselves. This feature would still make some people happy to have, but not everyone would feel the need to have it, especially with other communication hubs people have been using for ages. And the storage! We could finally feel the vast amount of space we are afforded this time around. There's no need to buy an SD card to store more games with 256GB worth of space. That's about 8 times the storage for the original Switch, which is good to have, especially with the improved graphics and the amount of storage big games would need. But of course, not everything really hit the mark. Like we said, there aren't a lot of new games specifically built for the Switch 2. Yes, you can play your older games, but we go back to the idea that minus the 2 Switch 2 Mario Kart and Donkey Kong games, that's pretty much it. So it may feel like you just got a new Switch, but not the Switch 2. With all its swanky upgrades, the Switch feels pretty much like the same console with some changes. While some of these upgrades are definitely better than some, at the end of the day, you're still going to realize it's $449.99. There are a lot of factors covering the Switch 2. The hardware industry is tricky as heck, and a lot of factors can make or break a product launch, even when prepared under the best possible conditions. With all its pros and cons, there are people who are still going to buy the Switch 2. Gaming itself is not a stranger to constantly changing. It's not enough to just follow the trends these days, given how unpredictable they have become. Thank you for watching. We appreciate you sticking around. We love games, and if you want to see more things gaming, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. And if you'd like to keep up to date on our content, don't forget to hit that notification bell. This is Bina, and we'll see you next time.